What's up guys, it's Ed from TechSource, and in this quick video we're going to be taking a look at the GTX 1080 performance and see how well it runs games in 1080p and 4K. There will be tons of GPU comparisons in the next few days, so if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss out. So before we jump into the gaming benchmarks, let's take a quick look at the card itself. So the GTX 1080 Founders Edition will start at $699 and features a 1607 MHz base clock speed, which can be boosted up to 1733 MHz, and only needs a single 8-pin PCIe connector to power it up. In fact, it only uses 180 watts, which is only 15 more than the GTX 980. There's also a nice upgrade in memory. The GDDR5 has now been replaced by GDDR5X, which is basically a new memory technology that allows the 1080's 8GB of memory to perform more than 1/3 quicker, with a bump in bandwidth up from 7 gigabits per second to 10 gigabits per second. Unfortunately, the actual memory width is not being increased and still has a 256-bit bus, which most likely means that there will be future 1080 Ti cards with a wider 384-bit bus. In terms of I/O, we have 3 display ports, which are DisplayPort 1.4 ready, 1 HDMI, and 1 digital DVI port. Both GTX 1080 and 1070 cards will support DisplayPort 1.3 and HDMI 2.0, offering HDR support and allowing Pascal's GPUs to support 1080p and 144p displays at 240 Hz. Also, the ultra-wide 1440p displays will be supported at 190 Hz, and 4K displays will be supported at 120 Hz. That's pretty impressive. Your move, AMD. Lastly, the aesthetics look amazing. By far the coolest looking graphics card I've seen, at least from the front, but turning it over to the backside, not so much. I honestly hate the way the backplate looks, it's just too bland for my taste. But moving on to benchmarks. So the PC I'm going to use for the benchmarks is Black Snow, which is running on a 6700K at stock clock speeds. I'm also using the Asus Z170 Deluxe motherboard, 16GB of RAM, and an H100i V2 CPU cooler. For 5-strike benchmarks, it scored a 16,794 for the regular test, a 9317 for the extreme, and a 5032 for the ultra. Moving on to the Unigine Heaven benchmark, the 1080 got an average frame count of 155.7 for 1080p on ultra settings and 36.6 for the 4K version. For Metro Last Light and 1080p on very high settings, the average frame rate was 150.7 and 30.04 on the 4K benchmark. And finally, for GTA 5 1080p on max settings, the GTX 1080 pulled an average frame rate of 76.73, whereas in 4K resolution it only got an average FPS of 24.47. Please keep in mind that these settings are completely maxed out, and adjusting a few options will get you higher frame rates. These are just for comparison reasons, since I will be using these exact same settings on all of my benchmark tests. And finally, for temps, the GTX 1080 got up to 83 degrees Celsius during full load and around 38 degrees during idle. I will be comparing the GTX 1080 against the 980, the 980 Ti, and even the Titan X, but if there's a specific card you guys want to see the comparison on, make sure to drop your comments down below. That's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on my future content, and I'll see you in the next video.